Mangwanani Mwalelepo, Vukenjane, Klekwas, Wanawe Africa. Welcome to Africa. Good morning. The news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond on Thursday, the 14th of December. You are joined by Ashwin Berry and Diana Master. How are you, Diana?
I'm doing well, Ashwin. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Close to Christmas, as you can see.
Yes, we are already in the festive season.
Yes. We love to see it. I am decorated as the gold ornaments you put on a tree. That's me.
As the star.
As a star.
You have to go on top of the Christmas tree. I can live with it. All right, let's get into what you can expect in today's broadcast. Men accused of killing Kirsten Kluyts allegedly stalked her before he raped and murdered her. Senegal fits inmates with ankle tags to reduce prison crowding. And rescue operation complicated at Sensele Mine, officials say. We'll also be bringing you news from Zimbabwe a little later on in the show with talent Gore. For now, we'll take a quick ad break and return with our top stories.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 150.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
All right, we're going to start off with our top story coming from South Africa. Man accused of killing Kirsten Kluyts allegedly stalked her before raping and murdering her. The state claims the man, who cannot be named before he has pleaded in court to a sexual offense charge, allegedly stalked Johannesburg teacher Kirsten Kluyts before raping and murdering her on 29 October. On Wednesday, the man, a 21-year-old student, appeared for the third time at the Alexandra Magistrates Court for a bail application. Prosecutor Ayanda Bakana said he was being charged with rape, robbery with aggravating circumstances, as well as premeditated murder. Bakana said the post-mortem showed that Kluyts had been struck with a blunt object. The state used CCTV footage to identify and arrest the accused. Bakana said the footage shows the accused jumping a gate to get into the Santon Sports Club, and the footage shows him leaving the area where her body was found.
Now getting into our next story, Senegal fits inmates with ankle tags to reduce prison crowding. Like most countries in Africa, Senegal's prisons are old and overcrowded and cannot manage the thousands incarcerated for petty crimes or those in pre-trial lockup. Many are ineligible for bail because they do not have official addresses. This year, it launched a pilot scheme to reduce the prison population by releasing hundreds of inmates under electronic supervision, the first country to do so in West Africa, according to the government. If successful, it could become a blueprint for other countries with clogged jails. Morocco and Togo are already pursuing similar programs. Ankle monitors have their critics, however. Detractors say they do not resolve the underlying causes of cramped cells, including harsh punishments for minor crimes and glacial judicial systems. And in authoritarian regimes, rights groups fear they may be overused for surveillance purposes.
Now in Zambia, Mines Minister Paul Kabuswe has raised concerns about the integrity of certain tunnels in Chingola Sensele Mine, deeming them unsafe. The safety of the tunnels has complicated the ongoing rescue operation for miners who remain trapped underground. Kabuswe revealed that the rescue team has adjusted its strategy, opting for mechanized operations to navigate the challenging conditions. Now in the media briefing, Mines Minister Kabuswe expressed the challenges faced by the rescue team. He emphasized that the government seeks additional support from various stakeholders to conclude the search successfully.
Rwandans are set to go to the polls on July 15th, 2024 to elect their next deputies and president, with current head of state Paul Kagame running for a fourth term, the Electoral Commission announced on Tuesday. Paul Kagame, 66, has been the de facto leader of this Great Lakes country since the end of the 1994 genocide. He was returned to power with over 90% of the vote in 2003, 2010 and 2017 elections. Throughout the country, the date for the election of the President of the Republic and the 53 deputies from a list proposed by political organizations or for independent candidates is July 15, 2024, said the National Electoral Commission on Twitter. Candidates will be able to campaign from June 2022 to July 12th, it added. 24 women parliamentarians, 2 youth representatives and 1 representative of Rwandans with disabilities will also be chosen by electoral colleges and committees on July 16th, the Commission said.
All right, in the last of our top stories, 8 male students who had been abducted by suspected separatists from a school in the war-torn Anglophone northwest region of Cameroon have been freed, according to authorities. Abdullahi Aliyu, a local administrator, said the armed men stormed the school in Esu area on Tuesday and tortured the students before abducting them. 2 classrooms and the principal's offices were set on fire during the attack. Some school officials, including the deputy principal, were also kidnapped. Several students who sustained injuries are being treated in hospital. The 8 students who were kidnapped were all freed following the intervention of defense and security forces, Aliyo said, without providing details of the whereabouts of the deputy principal and other school officials. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. Now in Zimbabwe, in Hwange National Park, 100 elephants have died as a result of climate change. We'll be talking to talent Gore about that story and more stemming from the House of Stone.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
All right, it's time for us to talk to talent Gore about the happenings in Zimbabwe, starting with a rather sad story. 100 elephants, if not more, have died as a result of climate change, and this is in Hwange National Park. If I'm not mistaken, talent, Zimbabwe has one of the largest populations of elephants in the world.
Yes, it has. It houses 45,000 elephants, and the International Animal Welfare said that an extended dry season has reduced once abundant waterholes to muddy puddles in Hwange National Park, and at least 100 elephants are already reported dead due to lack of water. Hwange covers more than 14,600 square kilometers and is home to about 45,000 elephants. And the International Fund for Animal Welfare said that despite having 104 solar-powered boreholes, park authorities say it isn't enough and no match for extreme temperatures drying up existing waterholes, forcing wildlife to walk long distances searching for food and water. In September this year, the Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Management Authority reported that many animals were moving from the national park to neighboring Botswana in search of animals and food. And we also find out that right now there's a lot of human and wildlife conflict, especially in that area, Hwange area and Victoria Falls, because they are now searching for food, resulting in the animals going where people reside and causing havoc there, damaging houses and also injuring people. So right now most of them, they are actually migrating from Zimbabwe to Botswana in search of food and water.
All right, now, talent, in the next of your stories, storms wreak havoc countrywide. Please give us the details.
Yes, for the past few days, Zimbabwe has been receiving heavy rains, and heavy storms have swept across most parts of the country, leaving a trail of destruction, with the Meteorological Service Department warning of more thunderstorms, particularly in eastern and southern Zimbabwe. Manicaland Provincial Affairs Minister Mishek Mugabe said they had activated the Civil Protection Unit to saves. They say that they are aware that there are areas that have been affected by the heavy rains, and they have activated their civil protection units even in areas which have not been affected. You find that in the Manicaland province, each year they are mostly affected by heavy rain, and right now they are still fighting, or they are still facing the effects of Cyclone Idai, which hit in 2019 19, they are still being affected by the effects of Cyclone Idai, and right now they have been affected by the heavy rains. Year in, year out, Manicaland province is affected by the heavy rains and cyclones because it is close to Mozambique. Manicaland province is the one that borders Zimbabwe and Mozambique, and they're usually affected by these heavy rains. In Harare hasn't been spared. There are places that have been affected by these heavy rains. And in the capital city, you find that the drainage system in Harare is bad. And yesterday, we received heavy rains and it was impossible. People couldn't move, cars couldn't move because of the poor drainage system in Harare. It hasn't been upgraded since the colonial era, and it's the same drainage system that we're using up to date. And Harare now has a lot of people and business going on. So now it is, Harare is now overpopulated, and they can't contain, the drainage system can't contain the much traffic that is in Harare. So we find out that there were flash floods yesterday in the streets of Harare, and cars were not moving around. It was impossible.
That is interesting because, post-colonial times, Harare has actually been led by both, popular movements, starting with ZANU-PF, and for a longer time, perhaps since 2000, the opposition parties. And post-colonial times, neither ZANU-PF nor the opposition has been able to mitigate a situation. Yet Harare has had 1 million residents for as long as I can remember, Talent. So I do wonder how much of the governmental processes end in parliament and elections, and how much of it actually translates to tangible solutions for the people, solutions which are stemmed in their very basic job description. Now, in the last of your top stories, Talent, China, unsurprisingly, has donated some military equipment to Zimbabwe. Tell us more.
Yes, Zimbabwe took delivery of a 28 million United States dollars worth of assorted military hardware, described as a generous gift by President Emerson Mnangagwa when he received the equipment at Inkomo Barracks on behalf of the country. The equipment includes armored fighting vehicles, personnel carriers, ambulances, motorized water purifiers, patrol boats, minibuses, sniper rifles, and machine guns. And speaking at the handover ceremony, also attended by the Chinese ambassador to Zimbabwe, Zhou Ding, President Mnangagwa said the expensive equipment was a gift from the People's Republic of China. He said that this gift of an assortment of strategic military equipment is testimony of the strong fraternal relations between Zimbabwe and the People's Republic of China under our present framework of comprehensive strategic partnership. He added that today, this delivery of military gratis equipment valued at 20 million RMB, which is 28 million United States dollars, will go a long way towards consolidating our ongoing quest to modernize the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. That was said by President Emerson Mnangagwa when he was receiving the gifts yesterday in Harare.
All right. Thank you very much, Talent, for bringing us the news stories from Zimbabwe.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always good having a Talent on Africa. Good morning. We'll now take a look at the weather predictions before we return with our economic news.
to another exciting episode of Irongo Talk.
Hier is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt.
Now, throughout the year, Kenya has had to deal with some difficult economic issues, from tax increases to fuel hikes. The country's inflation rate reached heights that oftentimes sparked outrage. Kenya also has a debt of $66 billion by the middle of the year, according to a report by the East African. Although the aforementioned debt amount accounted for 2/3 of the country's GDP, the president, during his Independence Day speech, revealed that Kenya is currently out of dodge, as he noted that Kenya is safely out of danger of debt distress. He also mentioned that the Kenyan economy is on the rise, citing a GDP growth of approximately 5.4% in the last 6 months. In October, it was reported that the country's inflation over 12 months rose for the third month in a row, owing mostly to rising gasoline costs. Also in the same month, the value of the shilling relative to the dollar has been trading at a record low of 151.3. The country's economy for months now has been marred with weakening shilling and rising inflation levels, with the silver lining being the increase of the country's economy, and now the president's revelation that the country is on a clear path to experiencing major debt relief.
Now, the African Development Bank Group has approved a $696.41 million financing package for Burundi and Tanzania to kickstart phase 2 of the joint Tanzania-Burundi DR Congo standard gauge railway project. This phase will see the construction of 651 kilometers of electrified single-track railway connecting Burundi to the existing Tanzanian network and ultimately to the port of Dar es Salaam. The project is divided into 3 sections: Tabora Kigoma and Uvinza Malagarasi in Tanzania and Malagarasi Musongati in Burundi. This will link Burundi directly to the port of Dar es Salaam, opening up new possibilities for its mining and agricultural sectors. The bank's group's commitment includes $98.62 million in grants for Burundi and $597.79 million in loans and guarantees for Tanzania. Additionally, the bank will act as the initial mandate-led arranger, mobilizing up to $3.2 billion from commercial banks, development financial institutions, export credit agencies, and institutional investors. The total project cost is estimated at nearly $3.93 billion.
All right, those have been our economic news stories. We're going to head to the indicators just before Ari joins us with the sport.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Good everyone, time for international sports news. Starting off with soccer news first. It is midweek Champions League games that was played, and it's confirmed that Arsenal is through to the last 16 and Manchester United is out of the last 16. Actually, it was Arsenal that was already the winner of Group B even before they played their last game. That was against PSV Eindhoven, and that game ended in a 1-1 draw at PSG Eindhoven, and that means that Arsenal will top Group B through to the last 16, and it's PSV Eindhoven also through, the second team going through in that group. It was Arsenal coach Mikel Arteta that made 8 changes to the Arsenal team that played, but they still managed a 1-1 draw. Manchester United, not a good season for them in the Champions League. They exit the Champions League in the group phases. They actually lost in Group A, and they lost at home to Bayern Munich. The score there was 1-0. The other team going through in Group A is FC Copenhagen. Also Real Madrid, they played against Union Berlin, and it was Real Madrid that won that game 3-2. And also going through in Group C is Napoli with Real Madrid to the last 16. And then in Group D, it is Real Sociedad and Inter Milan, the two teams going through to the last 16. Continuing international sports news with cricket news, it is a T20 series between the South African men's Proteas team and India. It is the second T20 that was played. The first one rained out. It was South Africa that won. The second one played in Gqeberta. They won by 5 wickets on the Duckworth-Lewis system. Some rain about, but lots of cricket still played. It was India that scored 180 for the loss of 7 wickets, and then South Africa chasing a reduced target with the Duckworth-Lewis system, 154 for the loss of 5 wickets, winning by 5 wickets. And it is Reza Hendricks with the best performance. He scored 49 runs off just 27 deliveries. Also, England and the West Indies playing a T20 series. The first one was played in the West Indies, and it is the host West Indies winning that by 4 wickets with 11 balls remaining. It was England batting first, 171 they scored, and a good performance by West Indies. Andre Russell with the ball. He got 4 wickets, or 3 wickets for 19 runs. That was in his allotted 4 overs. A good performance by Andre Russell. West Indies then 172 for 6, making the runs winning by 4 wickets. And to close off today's international sports news, it is tennis news from the WTA Women's Tour. They named their player of the year, and that is Iga Swiatek. She is from Poland, 22 years old. She is the 2023 WTA player of the year. She also won the title in 2022, so it's the first time since Serena Williams won it in 2015 that a player won it consecutive years. Actually, Serena Williams, she dominated between 2012 and 2015, won the title all 4 consecutive years. She was the WTA player of the year. It was Iga Swiatek with a good season. She won the French Open. She actually defended the title this year in Paris, and then at the end of the year she also won the WTA finals, and she overtook Aryna Sabalenka, also being the world #1 tennis player. Other accolades for the WTA is firstly Zheng Qinyan. She is from China, and she was voted the most improved player of 2023. And then also Russian player Mira Andreeva, she was voted as the newcomer of the year. She was the player that made the most progress, being a new player on the WTA Tour in 2023. That's the international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day. We talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Namibians are still safe.
Everywhere else, the Supreme Court said we are not going to rely on foreign judgments.
By all means, we try to not make journalists public figures, but at the end of the day, they are.
Very good evening. My name is Taiwan Jabela, your host.
With their Protestant offsprings.
But the implementation, like she's saying, is another thing.
You're still with Africa. Good morning. If you're just joining us, here are the news highlights. Man accused of killing Kirsten Kluyts allegedly stalked her before rape and murder. Senegal fits inmates with ankle tags to reduce prison crowding. Rescue operation complicated at Sensele Mine, officials say. Kenya reportedly emerges out of debt distress on 60th Independence Day.
All right, those have been our stories. Don't miss Africa. Good morning tomorrow from Diana Master and Action Berry, Suraja Kanaka.